Nigeria than any Nigeria.
Well, as the election draws closer, it will be imperative for us to bring you closer to the candidates who intend to man the affairs of the state. And of course, it's your responsibility to ensure they get into office or not. This is the standpoint on Rapid 96.5 FM. My name is Temple Bara. Well, at some point, we promised that we're going to bring the man who calls himself a bad boy. All of us now, I'm about. But then we've heard a lot about him, did a coverage of his person on the news yesterday, and of course tried to cover his activities. And we did have a chieftain of the party which he's running on the platform, talking about the Action People's Party, APP. We did have a chieftain prior to this time, more like a forerunner to his appearance in the studio. Of course, without further ado, let me introduce to you former chief of staff to a former governor, a former aspirant. He ran for the Federal House of Reps. I think it's Aba North and Aba South. He's now running for the coveted office of number one in Abia State, the Guber candidate of the Action People's Party, mascot Uzo Kalu. Glad to have you in the studio this morning.
Thank you, Temple.
Good morning.
Good morning to you too.
Mwaba. All right, let's start off with I mean, you understand that we are a lifestyle radio station, of course, Abia's 24-hour radio station. So I hope you're not expecting the conventional questions of politics and its interests. Yes, we'll scratch the surface, but then let me start off by asking, how does it feel going with the Uzo Kalu name? What has that done for you? Does it have a negative effect? Does it have a positive effect?
Well, it has its ups and downs. Being that the family has been in politics for a long time,
yeah,
and you can't be in politics without having stepped on people's toes.
Okay.
So you tend to sometimes see people that you don't know who just don't like you, and you see people that you don't know who also love you. So it's got its ups and downs, but overall, it's a name that I'm proud of, and it's a name that I'm every day. I live to fill in the shoes. I also live to improve on the quality of the name as well.
What's your relationship? Let me start off by asking, Uzo Kalu is your elder brother?
Yes.
Same mother?
Same mother, same father.
Yeah. What's your relationship with him now like, owing to the fact you're on the other side, if I may?
Well, I get a lot of that questions. We're not really running for the same position.
Yeah.
We just belong to different political parties.
But he was somebody who he was at the war front for you when you wanted to be at the helm of affairs, representing about North and South. He came on the street. He campaigned for you.
Yes, and there's no difference. I'm running for governor. He's running for Senate.
Is he campaigning for you?
Well, right now everybody's focusing on their own turf. So and for now we're focusing on our own turf. He wishes me well, and I wish him well. And I believe, regardless of who become president, him going back to the Senate is more of a national issue, because he'll be the most ranking senator from Southeast. So regardless of who wins the presidency, he tends to bring home the bacon on the national level. So that's why his election is very important as well.
Some persons believe that he's sponsoring your election. I asked your chieftain this same question. He said you got multiple enterprises. You're pushing on all fronts by yourself. I mean,
well, I'm doing okay, but I welcome all the contributions that I get.
People contributing to your cause?
Not yet. Maybe one or two silent givers, but not yet.
Are you open to that?
Oh yes, why not?
Are you calling for that here now?
Well, for those who want to give, they should contact me. I'll be willing to accept. It is a statewide election, so it's expensive. It's not cheap by any means. So those who want to assist, I'm open to it.
What happened, when you vied for Federal House and ABCK won? You did that on the platform of the APC, right?
Yes.
Don't you think the APC would have been a more veritable platform for you, to have contested the Guba candidate, or was it like it just Elanios I just Shifu?
Well, we were trying to build a formidable party under the platform of APC, but the more we built it, the more some people destroyed it. And we tend to find out that APC only really existed in the Abia North section.
Really?
And that in Central and South was every man on his own.
Is that as a result of the Orji Okalo persona?
I think he held on to the North to a bit of as much as he could.
Okay.
As you know, the party, especially in Abia, came from different political parties, different ideology, different ideas, and we never really cultivated one ideology, one mantra. We never really focused on one thing, because in politics, the main focus is to win elections.
Yeah.
And once the primaries are over, regardless of who the candidate is, at that point the focus is to win election. But there was always this, I don't know how to put it, but reserved enmity amongst people, which is most of the reason why we lost the election of my House of Rep that we were doing. Election that was won was just
internal crisis.
Internal crisis allowed us to give it away. So, and that's why I decided to leave the party.
Would you say you were more popular than the man who is there now?
Oh, definitely. There's no.
At some point, you thought it was a done deal.
No, I didn't think there's not such thing as a done deal in an election. You never say never. I didn't think it was but if you're talking about standards, you can't compare me in any standards with him. I don't think. Not on education, not on exposure, there's no comparison.
So do you think there was a tweaking here and there?
Of course, that's what I'm saying. Our people compromised. So that's the reason why we lost the election.
So the aftermath of that is you are in a new party.
Yes.
Why didn't you attempt, to vie for that position again? Of course, there's going to be elections in that. What we just have was like a runoff or something.
Yes.
And that position, could have still gone to you if you did your homework. But then you looked at the bigger picture. What gave rise to that?
Well, rightfully. The governorship rightfully should be going to Abia North.
Is that not a PDP thing?
No, it's a statewide thing. It should be actually going to Abia North.
Regardless of the
party. It is right that this goes back to Abia North. and also the people, the masses, the public, they are looking for more younger governor than the older people.
Really?
And so,
how old are you?
I'm in my mid 40s. Let me put it that way.
Okay.
So, having looked at all that, I felt with the opportunity we have today that I meet the requirements, and plus I say it proudly and everywhere I go that I'm the most qualified candidate, having worked as a chief of staff. As you know, chief of staff is the clearinghouse of government. So you see the good, the bad, the ugly as a chief of staff. While others are trying to learn how to work with government, I already have a full knowledge, a full idea of how to work in government. And I will be the only candidate amongst all of us running today who from day one will start the work of Abia people. The rest will try to be learning the system and the ropes. So I pride myself as the most qualified candidate for this election.
I like the confidence, yet the calm demeanor. Well, we've been speaking with Mascot Uzo Kalu. He's the Guba candidate of the Action People's Party, APP, a fine gentleman by every standard. And of course, we've just been scratching the surface a little bit. Then would put our feet fully into the water. I had mentioned to a chieftain of your party who was here in the studio, there was a particular survey or something like that was done, and you were list ranked. How did you take it?
Well, let me put it this way. When you look at that survey, it was done by the Bankers Association group. It's mostly done to raise the profile of the bankers so they can increase on their quote unquote ability to raise funds.
Yeah.
Well, let me put it this way. It does not affect me. As a matter of fact, I think that survey more ignites my ability to move more.
Okay.
I'm the only candidate going around Abia State. I've gone to 8 local governments, APSEC wards.
Yeah.
I'm on my 9th local government. No other candidate is doing that.
Yeah. Yesterday I hear you were in Ikwano.
No. I was in Mkporo yesterday. The day before yesterday I was in Abreba. So I'm the only candidate going to all the APSEC wards.
How has it been like?
It's been
the
rough.
Reception.
The reception yesterday in Mkporo was phenomenal.
Okay.
It was great. Each stop I went to, I did not see less than 200 people, and I spoke to them and I told them
in Igbo, in English.
In Igbo.
Can I hear you speak in Igbo? I mean, like, let's hear how you address it, because you speak very spick and span English. I'd like to hear your Igbo. Just imagine that an Igbo person is listening to you and you had to introduce yourself. Let's do that.
Ndewo, ihe bụ Mascot Uzo Kalu. Ambiara ihe unu. Ncho lemjeje akparu namche bụ gọvanọ unu. Anam na-achị chizi unu achizi. Na-ewofu ọchịchị ọjọọ, wosa ihe ọma. Na-eme ka isho mere mụ na nchekwa da akwụ school fees. Free primary and secondary school education. They make sure between 25th and 29th of the month, I'm Jidaku, then Kuzu no the civil servant no the pensioner no. How's that?
I feel the marketing manager should come and charge you. You just campaigned on air. he should come collect some money. Maybe you campaign on air. You should pay for that. Anyway, you worked with the former governor. You've been in the corridors of power. You have an idea of what it is to run office. I make bold to say your chieftain had said he's the most qualified because he's actually been, he's out of all the candidates, someone who's just been closest to government. What's your relationship like with the senator, the former governor?
The former governor. We have a cordial relationship.
Did you tell him about your ambition?
Oh, yes. He was, as a matter of fact, before I even told my brother, he was the first person I went to.
Really?
And I told him. And he wished me well. Yes, we don't belong.
There was no encouragement as per putting his political machinery in place for you.
Well, we do belong to different political parties. So such things or such moves is something you hope to see at a later time. I think people.
This election, I'm hearing people across party lines who are not voting for party.
Of course, that's what's going to happen, and that's why I say people would like to see what you've been able to do.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to back somebody who's going to fail. They want to be able to know that you've done your homework and you've done the things you need to do, and then you need a little push, and then people will come over and push. I've maintained a good relationship with Governor T.O.G. So, and I learned a lot from him.
Okay.
As a governor, I learned a whole lot from him. So, and he has wished me well since I left government with him, and I've also wished him well.
What have you been up to since you left government?
More business. As you know, he was one that returned me from the US.
Okay.
When I left, I went back to and started my own business. Although I had the business running when I lived in the US, but it wasn't on a full scale. So I went back to construction, real estate, a bit of oil and gas, and a bit of petty banking and investments. So that's what I do.
If you become governor, who's most likely to become your chief of staff?
That's a question you have to wait.
Have you thought about
That's
it?
an answer you have to wait. Of course, as you move around, when you see people and you associate with people, you try to place them into positions. I'll be a governor that on the day of inauguration, I will come with my full list of appointees.
Really?
Yes. I'm not going to be one of those that I'll tell you 3 months
Are you going to do that across party lines, or it has to be people who from the word go were part of
it depends. It depends. I mean, when we get to like February, you see more of a coalition of different people. So if you have people coming in and collapsing their structure into your structures, definitely you want to make appointment across party lines. But one thing I will do is to make sure we establish peace across party lines, because part of one of the problems we have is that you've never seen a situation where you've seen peace between the former candidates of 2019. You've never seen a place where a picture of Okezie Ikpeazu, maybe Oga and Alex Oti sitting down, relaxing and drinking tea. We've never seen such picture. And such pictures will be some of the things that will help improve
the democracy
of Abia. Because either way you look at it, these men have their followers. And when you bring people to the table and say, let's remove the rancor, one person has won, either way, it's now time to build Abia. Let us come together as Abians and build Abia. I think it's a better way to approach things than to leave everything lingering and you have a political enmity that lasts for 4 years. It doesn't really make sense, and it's not good for development. And Abia right now needs rapid development because we have huge unemployment. When you look at the unemployment in Abia, it's closer to 60%, and about 70% of those are youths. So if we continue in this style, the next 5-6 years, you might be seeing people picking your pocket in the broad daylight and nothing that can be done about it, because we're graduating more and more young men and women and they don't have anything to do. How does it feel to come out of university and you go back home to live with your parents, and every day your mother and your father are still the one feeding you and giving you pocket money? Nobody will feel good about it. So government has a responsibility to help through partnership with private sectors to help and generate employment for its citizens. And that's what our government will do. I've promised that we will generate 10,000 jobs in every year for 4 years, making 40,000 jobs. And it's a promise that I will work towards to keep, because I know those rapid employment will reduce a lot of tension within the society and make Abia a better place.
Well, you've mentioned Abia needing rapid employment. This is Rapid 96.5. It's the sound of your city. We'll take a moment to return. We'll be asking him some more questions, and of course you would get the chance to contribute by calling into the studio. So get ready. I'll give out the number when it's time, and would open up the phone lines. Stay right here on the dial, 96.5 on the frequency modulated band. We'll be right back.
Fact is, Mr. President, this is one of the worst crimes ever committed in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. A man single-handedly mismanaged over 100 billion in a nation where we have thousands, hundreds of thousands of graduates. Want me to say it? A man mismanaged 100 billion. The same man is cruising on the street of Abuja with bulletproof cars. What is the future of Nigerian nation?
Big dreams and big scenes, we fight Kanu. No love, Obi Fane keep up by a new. Fane live Pucci, not at a line movie. Ofumba Sende na Chigeti, we bone fully.
Bena Nasifana Tachebena, Giana Yasa, Gia chopping my get the info, 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 get the info.
On this program, we give you the info. You hear from the persons that matter, the major players in the game. And in the studio is a Guba candidate on the platform of the Action People's Party, mascot, Ozo Kalu. Now, let's look at opposition in the state. You mentioned something that has to do with everybody coming to a table and ensuring that Abia State moves forward instead of having rancor for the next 4 years. I love the idea of having the major players contribute. People with the different wealth of experience, expertise, and knowledge contributing to the development. Yes, one man is at the helm of affairs, but every other person playing an integral role to ensure that the development is rapid or hastened, so to say. Now, what do you think about the place of the People's Democratic Party? Have they allowed opposition to thrive in the state? Have you been able to go about campaigning freely? Have you had your billboards destroyed? Have you had any setback in reaching out to people, in order to convince them to rally to your banner and to your cause?
Well, I must say the PDP have actually improved in their style of handling things. The hostility has rapidly reduced. It used to be very hostile. From 2016, you put billboard, they tear it. You put this, they destroy it. But I'm seeing a lot more maturity in their behavior, which is good. I don't know, maybe it's because the governor is an outgoing governor. I don't know how to place that.
Some other political parties and aspirants have been on the same program, complaining bitterly, something your chieftain had said, no, we have a smooth ride, and then you're confirming it. I mean, what makes you special?
No, those ones are probably new to the business. We had it rough. Who were the ones?
Alex Otti is not new to the business.
Well, no, for his party, he's new to the business.
Okay,
we've had it rough, and for them as well, it might be personal. So because they've run against each other since 2015, so for them it might be personal. But we've had it rough, but I'm not seeing that same level of aggressiveness. I'm not seeing that same level of unsteadiness that we usually used to see from the People's Democratic Party. And maybe they're not doing it to me because they're underestimating me. Who knows? I don't know. Anything could be
I didn't want to be the one to ask you.
Yeah, so maybe that's the reason. So, but we'll see. When we it's not how you start the race; it's when it's finishing the race.
What's your relationship with the other candidates like?
I think we're cordial. We're cordial, but all of them.
You're in a race.
Yeah, all of them still underestimate me. I think when I started out, they didn't think I was serious, but now they know I'm serious. And
who are you wary of the most?
I'm not worried about anybody.
You don't see a threat in any of the group?
No, I put all of them on the same level of threat, because this election is going to be about about your policy and how much you've been able to reach the people.
Yeah.
Well, again, we are all running against the PDP because they're the ones with the governorship, and they're the ones who will happen in March 2023. A lot of surprises.
Let's talk about your policies. 10,000 jobs. You've been preaching that everywhere you go. 10,000 jobs for 4 years, 40,000 jobs. What areas are you looking at? How do you intend to pull that off?
We're looking at agriculture. We're looking
Okay.
at private sector. We're also looking at the government sectors as well.
The government, they say, is overbloated.
Well, we will find out. You remember I used to be chief of staff. When I was chief of staff, our payroll, without even having done biometrics, our payroll was 1.4 billion. When we came in, it was about 890 million. As you know, Governor T had promised this one step up raise. So when we did the one step up raise, it moved to about 1.2 billion. And some other bits of hiring. At the time I was leaving, it was about 1.4 billion. So and I know in 2010, 2011, there was a lot of retrenchment when Governor T had let go non-Abia indigents. And they ran.
What do you think about that move?
Well, I don't agree with it. The reason I don't agree with it, and he was chief of staff when the citizenship law was passed, where the law was given that if you've been in Abia for 10 years, you're allowed to run for any political office except governor. And if you're also born in Abia, the same rights were given to you. And these are things that I know if I was with him, this would not have happened, because I would have convinced him otherwise. So that's why a lot of times governance is important to have the right people around you. It wasn't a good move, and my government will put a panel of inquiry. I'm not judging him good or bad on it, but my belief it was not a good move. And sometimes such things are coming from advisors and all that.
Yeah.
But if
a way to manage the wage bill.
Yes. There would have been better ways to manage the wage bill than retrenching those people. You could have, if you felt they were too much, you could have started early retirement, converted active people, send them early retirement, pay them their pension. It reduces the wage bill. There were ways
to have managed
it rather than retrenched. And they were in thousands.
You've lived in the US, and of course, the US is the hub of IT. In as much as China and Asia are doing a whole lot in manufacturing now, but information technology is the way the world is going. You can imagine how much Elon Musk put in, just to buy Twitter, and what's happening with that takeover, so to say. Abia State have some IT hubs. Aba, Omwaya. Some people individually and collectively have been able to create that enabling environment. But then you look around the areas where we used to have the cyber cafes, the IT hubs and all that, seems to have been doing, if not for personal effort. And it's my understanding that this is a gold mine that is not tapped. What are your plans for information technology, at state level if you become governor?
Good question. This is the reason why you want a younger person as governor and somebody with international experience. Let me put it this way. You can grow your economy through comparative advantage.
What does that mean?
Comparative advantage is when you have a product that you can do better than any other person can do.
Okay.
India invested a lot in IT. And today, India is one of the number one supplying IT engineers. There's no IT company in the world that does not have a branch in one of the cities in India. None. As a matter of fact, when you call in, they've been so trained that they even speak like the Europeans and Americans. Sometimes when you call in, your calls are routed to India, and it's Indians that are telling you what to do, how to repair your phones, how to correct certain things in your phones. And that's because they invested heavily in IT. This thing you said now is heavy in Aba and Omwaya. And as government, we will invest heavily in it, because we believe it's one of the quickest way for the 40,000 jobs we talked about to be generated. As you know, there's a lot of look when you come to Lagos for a technology global hub. They always talk about Aba. They always talk about Aba. But we seem not to be able to galvanize the young people to meet that demand that they're looking for. sometimes to even meet the standard of what they're looking for. So our government, by the grace of God, will invest heavily into this and bring up the standard, and make sure our young people get the opportunity of operating on a global level, where some of them can, work for Microsoft, IBM, HP, all through here, because we have the talent here. Some of them are raw, some of them may not. They have learned on their own. We just need to standardize them and get them to meet certification levels, and they'll be able to move on.
Security is also an issue I'd want us to talk about. For a while, a lot of people have described Abia State as one of the most peaceful southeastern states. At some point on my program, I say, you're welcome to, or this is blah 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 radio station in the most peaceful city, most peaceful city of Umwa, so to say, in Abia. But then in recent times, we've seen pockets of kidnappings, banditry. I have a personal friend, he's called Solo Jackson, an entertainer. He was shot and a bus, moving him from Okiwe to Owerri, and they ran into a non-gunman and they just dropped the bullet in the bus, and it was he who was unfortunate. He was hit, he couldn't survive. And then if I had to just oppose that with what's happening on Hafia, in the last 2 days, innocent people, a young boy approached me this morning on School Road to say he's two of his cousins.